consuming so much. Like we're getting information overload, we're getting feelings overload, we getting overgiven, we start over functioning, we start overextending, we start all these over, and then we become over capacity and we burning out and all these different things because we did not listen to our bodies, our minds, our hearts, and all the things that's been giving us the signs and all the things of our limits. We must pay attention to these things, y'all.
To some, boundaries are just placing limits. To me, it's where the limitless things begin.
Hello, and thank you for tuning into the Boundaries and More podcast with Jess Abraham. I'm your host, Jess Abraham, your favorite boundaries coach, and today's episode is brought to you by Joyful Styles. Joyful Styles is a lifestyle brand that provides premium quality apparel that promotes joy and positivity. Joyful Styles believes how we approach a situation matters, and choosing to be joyful makes all the difference. You have the power, and it's time to embrace it. So, get your Joyful Styles apparel at joyfulstyles.com. That's JoyfulStylez.com. Let's go. Look, I am excited about this episode today, y'all. Actually, the remaining episodes for the remainder of the month. But before we get into it, y'all, want those of you who have not yet taken that boundaries assessment, take some time out right now, about 2 minutes or less of your time, to take that boundaries assessment. That link for you is in the show notes. However, you're also welcome to text me. Text me the word boundaries to 210-880-0771. And I got you. I get it sent right over to you, right? You just take that time out to take that assessment, get a gauge on where you are, see how you progress as time goes on. I have many things coming for you all soon, but look, one thing at a time. We just gonna focus on here and now, right? So yeah, y'all, let's get into it. Oh my goodness, y'all. Again, I slightly mentioned, but the remainder of the month, right? we're going to be focusing on the hidden burdens of overgiving, right? Because what I do here, right, I coach frustrated overgivers to stand up for themselves and feel good about it, right? So that's what we're doing, right? The remainder of the month, right? So basically the remainder of the year, we're focusing on the hidden burdens of overgiving, right? Now, part of this, like, like you see it, like you're definitely over capacity, right? That's a lot of what happens in these situations. Like you keep saying yes when you don't have the capacity for things, and it's like it's hurting you, right? The truth is it's hurting you, right? Yeah, one of the things I do to really help me, that I'm constantly reminded to honor my capacity, is like right now I'm wearing my white honor my capacity joyful style shirt, right? Like, get yours, right, to remind you, right? But it's like, y'all, like I wear the things and I often see it, like, yep, like and people know, like, it's like a message for me. Is when I'm having conversations with people, or I'm just walking out, I'm in the grocery stores, whatever, like, people know. It's like a signal to other people as well, without me even saying anything, like, up, don't even bring me out of whatever, because I'm honoring my capacity, right? This is how this is how I don't get to over capacity, because I continue to honor my capacity, right? Okay, like, we'll get into it. I also have an episode, and you can go listen to as well, called Honoring My Capacity, right? Like, we can get into it. But for this one, again, we're going to be I'm going to get a bit into the cost of over functioning past your God-given limits, right? We have God-given limits for a reason. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not like it's a purpose, right? There's a purpose for your limits, right? It's a reason that you're not a robot, right? Even those overfunction sometimes and go out of whack and explode and stuff, right? So they even have a certain capacity, maybe more than your human capacity, but it's a reason, right? And before we go any further, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page what we're talking about here. And when I'm talking about capacity, right, I'm talking about your emotional, your physical, mental, and spiritual bandwidth, right? Again, when I'm referring to capacity, I'm referring to your emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual bandwidth, right? Y'all, hence that and right, all of it, right? So making sure we honoring our capacity in all areas so we don't get to the point of over capacity. We don't want to do that, y'all. Like, you ready? You see what it's like. You see right now what's happening because you're functioning at overcapacity or attempting to, right? It's not really that successful in the way that you're operating right now, right? So I want you to let's get into it. Let's get into it a little more. Because I want to, because some of you might be like, well, Jazz, I don't think I'm over capacity right now. I have this, like I got this, right? Right? Because you've been conditioned in a way, right, to keep adding responsibilities because you don't want to disappoint people, right? You're scared of disappointing other people. Meanwhile, you're disappointing yourself, right? You're hurting yourself, but it's like, it's okay. I can hurt myself as long as I'm not hurting anybody else or disappointing other people. Like, we're going to stop that, right? These are behaviors and things that we're going to stop doing. Right. Again, that's why, yeah, okay. Some of the other things you might be doing, right? You're assuming that you can just push through because you've always done it, right? Have you though? Have you really successfully pushed through things like always? Right? Maybe certain things, but you like continue to pushing your limits like a little kid that, let's see what I can get away with. Let's continue to see what I can get away with. I'm gonna just keep pushing and pushing, right? Pushing those limits and pushing through. Like, okay, right? Another thing, right? You view rest as laziness, right? Instead of what it is, stewardship, right? I get it though. I get it because most of us, right? How most of us grew up, we were taught that way. We were raised that way, right? We always must be productive and do this and do that, and always, filling your days and time with things and people and whatever. Like, no, right? Just because we grew up and we were raised a certain way to believe this type of stuff, like resting is lazy and all that, like that don't mean we need to continue to believe the lie. Right? Like, literally, y'all, like, it is just so important for you to learn things on yourself and not just learn things for yourself and not just accept what other people are feeding you or giving you and all the things. Because what happens is that, like, that now becomes doctrine, right? Our core beliefs and stuff, when we don't have, like, we didn't even do any investigation or research or reading into the things ourselves, right? Me personally, I've chose to live in a way in accordance, right, with the Bible, right? Like, as much as I can, like, I'm learning and reading it for myself. I've heard things growing up. I've learned certain things, but what I've been doing over the years is reading it for myself. I'm not just accepting the scriptures or the principles or lessons that people are just throwing out right in the world, or even like at me or whatever else, without like reading for myself. Because a lot of times people use things out of context, right? And when they do that, right, they feed it to you out of context, and then you start forming this belief that it doesn't really work, or it's not really its intended meaning. Right. So what I've been doing, y'all, again, I've been reading the word and all the things for myself. I've been doing an investigation. I've been looking up definitions for myself. I've been reframe, like, what was it, a couple months ago? I believe we talked about redefining, right? Redefining certain words, because like we grew up learning a certain way and this means that. But does it though? Like, look it up and define it for yourself, right? Redefine it for yourself. That was in the Redefine series. I think that was back in October, if I'm not mistaken. But look, you just look it up, Redefine series, right? Or, redefine whatever the words. And even there's more words out there I want you to redefine. But it's like, yo, this is what we must do, right? Do these things, look these things up for ourselves, because you don't need to believe the lie, whatever it is that people are telling you, right? Because a lot of it is just like their interpretation, right? I always encourage you, like, look it up for yourself. I give you definitions here, but say, look it up for yourself, right? Because there's, even with me talking to you and expressing certain things to you, right? I don't know your exact situation for your life. right? I'm giving these things to you from my perspective, my lived experiences, and then you take it and implement what works for your life, right? All of it may not work for your life. I guarantee you, though, the things that you do implement for your life that works will work if you work it. That part, okay? Right? So now, like, what I want, like, okay, what I've been, oh man, okay, let me slow down. I want to slow down because, like, y'all, I've been having multiple conversations recently, and a lot of I see it like in every conversation I have. I see where boundaries are needed or they're lacking, or like, yeah, you did that, like they're strong and healthy in place and things of that sort. And I'm just like, in my conversation, just naturally how I am, and like my view of the world and what I see. Like I believe the episode called like they're everywhere, right? Like it's everywhere, right? Everywhere, and all the things and that I do. But I'm having conversations, and what I've noticed, right, throughout the years, and as well, but like overgivers, right, tend to consistently just ignore their internal limits, right? This is what's happening. This is why you get to this place, because it's like you're ignoring your internal limits because you feel obligated to be a certain way for other people, right? Whether that's strong, whether that's like whatever, literally insert whatever you feel like you need to be for other people there, right? This is what's causing a lot of the problems. You're more focused on what other people may or may not want from you, because some of these, it's a false focus. Some of this, it don't even make sense, right? Like, it doesn't, people didn't necessarily say they wanted XYZ, but you've interpreted it in a way that, you know what? I'm going to do this because if I do, they're going to do that and act this way and feel this way about me and all this. And later in the month, we will talk a little bit more and I go into that. But it's like these mixed match expectations, right? Either that's later in the month or next one, whenever. We'll get into that in another episode. I'll say it that way. But I'm like what we not gonna do? Praise God. What we not gonna do is continue to focus and live our lives in a way that is okay. If is it benefiting XYZ, like all these people, and not even helping me at all? Like, it's your life. They're living their life and they're living your life. Like, so where do we come in? What life do you get to live? Right? Like, make it make sense. Right? God gave us limits on purpose. They are protection. Right? Oh my gosh, everything it's like, look, we gotta stop like consuming so much. Like, we're getting information overload, we're getting feelings overload, we getting overgiving, we start over functioning, we start overextending, we start all these over, and then we become over capacity, and we burning out and all these different things because we did not listen to our bodies, our minds, our hearts, and all the things that's been giving us the signs and all the things of our limits. We must pay attention to these things, y'all. Like, this is the way that you become better. This is the way that things change. Right? We'll get into a bit more about like the shift, what happens, like, and things that you can actually implement starting today. Right? What you can do about these things. But like, this is how. Like, we literally have the choice. We can make a decision to do something different, right? Because listen, we know it. You feeling some of this right now, right? You're feeling some of this right now. And I'm gonna get into like, because when you continue to overfunction in a way, and you continue to become over capacity, and you think like, I got it, like I got it. You want everybody to depend on you for whatever reason. I promise you, I want the least amount of people depending on me as possible, right? People, places, things I don't like, right? I am very dependable, right? You come to me, you ask me for a certain thing, and I agree to it because I feel like I have the capacity to do it. Oh, look, no doubt, we're going to get it done, period. But I'm not looking to be anyone's savior, right? That's Jesus, not Jazz. I'm not looking to be anyone's savior. I'm not trying to overextend myself consistently and overfunction in a way that I become over capacity. And then, like, there's no more me, right? People, yeah, oh my gosh. Okay. People literally, I mentioned this in many episodes, and I'm going to continue to mention this because somebody's going to get this and hear this. Like, people literally die from stress. Like, you can avoid that, right? But let me get into this. Some of the things that happen when you're in overcapacity, right? Like, it's so unfortunate because you start to silently resent the people you say yes to, right? These can be people you love, people you work with, just people you care about, whatever. Like, you started resenting them. And then it's like you don't really want to feel this way, but you start to feel this way just for the simple fact that you continue to say yes when you should have said no. Stop ruining your relationships. Like, right, you're literally upset and mad at somebody because of something that they don't even know they did because you said yes instead of no. Because you agreed instead of disagreed. Like, it's plenty conversations y'all have. Like, this just popped in my spirit. So I'm saying there's plenty conversations and things I have. Like, okay, we're going to agree to disagree. That's your view. That's my view. Let's keep it moving. It's okay. Right? No need to put no risk in the relationships or anything like that. Like, right? I'm not going to just start resenting my people. Like, no, I don't have the capacity for that. No, I'm good. There's things I hadn't needed to, like, in this season in my life, like, I needed to shift things around. Like, I was like, okay, I got the capacity for this. I'm going to do this and that. But truthfully, y'all, I started to overestimate some things and underestimate others. Like, certain things I don't really have a gauge on how long this could actually take. So I'm like, okay, this seemed like it could take I was wrong, right? So certain things were taking up more of my time than I thought it would take. And I needed to switch things up because if I continued to operate in certain things, like, there's things that are very important in my life in this season that was like falling behind and getting like left, like, because I needed to focus here because I committed to doing something that is taking way more of my time than I thought it would take. And in between that, right, I needed to make sure that I creating, space in my life. Like, that is a must for me. We're going to get into that again. We talking about some things you can practically do. But I'm just like, y'all, so sometimes, right, you head in one direction and you like, okay, you try this, you do this, you like, not so much. This didn't work. It's like I thought it would work. So y'all switch things up. It's okay to switch some things up, right? There's a season for all the things, right? Certain season, I just needed to, switch things up because there are very important things that need to, that takes priority. That is the priority, period. Just the priority. And I'm like, yeah, this will be nice to do, and this will get done. But you took a lot more time than I thought you would from the thing that I really, really must be working on right now. So yeah, okay. Anyway, y'all, some of the other things, right, that happens when you start to be in this overcapacity, right? You start to burn out, right, y'all? Most of you have felt it. I felt it in my life, in different seasons in my life. Praise God that it wasn't like too long, or it wasn't so many times like I experienced it over and over and over and over again. No, because I learned, right? I learned from my decisions, right? But it's like you can learn from your decisions as well. You don't have to keep burning out, right? You don't have to keep collapsing emotionally and physically, like your body just done. Like, I can't even get up today. Right now, emotionally, I just can't even think. Right, I just can't even do it. Like, it took all of what I had. Like, look, don't get to the place where it's just sucking all of your energy. Right, save some for you. Right? Save some for you. Build your life in a way that things don't take away your energy, right? That's including stop answering some of those phone calls that's just emotionally draining. Like, no, that y'all, I promise you, y'all, there's some phone calls. Like, I love people. Like, I do. And some certain people that I love, I absolutely love. Sometimes I just cannot answer their phone calls. Not right now. Like if I don't have the emotional capacity for it, I'm just not gonna do it. Maybe I send a text and like to acknowledge certain things, or maybe I just wait till the next day to reply or whatever. Like when I do have the emotional capacity for it, because I'm just like no, y'all, I'm protecting my peace, right? I'm being my MVP. Go listen to that episode, right? As well, I'm being my MVP. It's so important, y'all, right? Another thing that is like for me major when like in overcapacity is like I start not well, I mean I've done it, right? I've been in this place, but it's like thank God I'm on the other side of that right now. But some of the things that happen, right, is disconnect, right? You can't hear yourself, like your own thoughts. You can't even. It's no clarity there, right? You can't hear God speak to you, right? Because of all of this overload that's happening, all the things that's flooding through your mind, your brain, like all of these things that's happening. You have literally no capacity left for yourself, and more importantly, for God. It's a problem. Right? It's a problem. To me, I was literally thinking about this earlier today. And I was just like, man, it's like interesting. To me, I believe the order and the voices that should be the loudest in our lives is God's voice and then my own. Right? Because if I'm listening to God's voice, then my own voice isn't telling me things that are harm me or that are out of alignment and all of these different things, right? We talked about alignment last month. Go listen to those episodes. But it's yeah, like this, that's for me, that's the order, right? No one else's situations, life, voice, and whatever should be like that dominant in my head. No. Like, no, I remember recently as well, I had a conversation with my mom. I think part of this with my dad, but in a different way. But I know I was actually making making a statement. It wasn't a full blown conversation with my mom, but I'm just like, I just for however long, I don't know how long it's been, but for however long, like I just feel like no, like the voice God's voice is the most important, right? I'm listening to what God's saying, and then I'm listening to what I'm saying. Like I'm not focused on what my parents saying, right? My parents say I should do or shouldn't do, right? What friends and family saying I should or shouldn't do, right? I might listen and hear it, but I'm not focusing on that. I'm not internalizing all their things, especially if it's not in alignment. Like I'm not even entertaining those things in those conversations, right? I hear you. I respect what you're saying, but that don't mean I need to internalize it. That don't mean I need to take it in. That don't mean I need to do what you want me to do, what you think is best for me to do. Right? It's like that, y'all. It's so interesting. I had a conversation with my dad recently, kind of around this, and then he was just saying how like there's certain things when I was in college he didn't like necessarily talk to me about. I was like, we never talked about this, and he was like, well, because at that point in your life, you just wasn't really about listening to people like that. Like you just wasn't. So we didn't talk about certain things because it needed to be other conversations that you just wasn't listening to or trying to have. Now, some of that is like because I'm like that can't be the most powerful voice in my head because certain people think because they have a certain position in your life that they have all of this authority over your life. Now, I just don't agree with that, right? My spirit never agrees with that. Even then, back in my college days, like to a certain extent, I may listen like, oh, this makes sense. Like this, okay, this is in alignment where I'm going, what I'm doing, and all the things like that. But if you trying to like get me to go on your path versus what the path that God has for me, I can't get with it. I don't care who you are. Like to include being my parent. It just doesn't work for me, right? Like I said, my parents wanted me to major in something different. My dad wanted me to go to a very different school than I went to, like all these different things. But I made the decisions that I felt was best for my life in the direction I was headed, not necessarily living the life that my parents wanted me to live. And I thank God that even at that age, like I made these decisions. Like, and of course, to some extent, my parents probably saw it as rebellion and all the things like that. And maybe some of it was, but not to like harm them or hurt. It's just that, that's your opinion. And I respect it. I hear you, but I got my own path to live. Right? Like it's like that. Okay. So because of putting some of those things in place, like even in those certain situations, I didn't allow myself to be over capacity because I'm trying to do what I want to do and doing what other people want me to do and all this and that. That's where the problem comes in. Right? Y'all know I need to be connected to the source. Everything else and everyone else is just a resource. So if we not doing that, and if whatever it is not helping me to stay connected to the source, I'm cool on that. I'm cool on that, right? Like, yeah, I'm leave that because yeah, okay, we gonna keep it moving because I want to get into the things that can help you like turn this around to you can literally implement today, right? Because we must change the behavior, y'all. It's important for the behavior to be changed, right? So we talking about like the shift in your life, right? Start building margin into your life. Like in every area of your life, build margin. That's in your finances, right? Have the savings so that if something you short somewhere, you can pull from the saving, whatever. Like create margin, create space in your life, right? That's in your relationships, right? Create space in your life. Like me, I am not, y'all. I refuse to fill my day, like my entire day, with things and people. Like I make a conscious, deliberate, intentional effort to create space in my day, each and every day. Period. Like even calls, like I don't take calls until after a certain time, right? When I'm doing just strategy calls with other people, when like just in coaching call, like all whatever, like it comes it's a certain time of day. I don't before, yeah, because I create space in my day. And then after those, right, in between calls, I have some space. And also in between certain things that I'm doing in my life, right? I don't just work, and just keep on going, right? The song sounds cute when Rihanna say it, but it's like, no, like make sure you insert rest there. Right? Create that space, create that margin. I'm not just going, I'm not a robot. I take time, I take breaks, I take a step back so that I can actually think through things. Right? I took a step back, like instead of like jumping in to all these things. Like there was a day I'm like, okay, and get this podcast episode done. But I decided, right, there was a day like I took a step back and like, okay, what direction do I want to go and what do we want to do? Right. And because I took a step back instead of just like jumping in to specific podcast episodes, like now I know what I want to talk about for the next few months, right? Going into all the way into the new year, the end of the first quarter of 2026. Like, because I take the time, I create space and margin, right? And I also create time for rest in my life, right? Also, right, we must stop to shift this up and switch things up. Stop making decisions out of guilt. Stop it. Like it's just stop it, right? I have an episode called Drop the Guilt. You're welcome to go listen to that episode. Yeah, just go listen to that episode. Matter of fact. Right? But I like stop making decisions from guilt because again, that's focusing on other people and their stuff and whatever. Like, what about you? What about your life? You matter. You matter just as much as they do. You matter. So take up space in your own life, okay? And some of that where you can start doing is before you start committing to this, that, and all the things, say, look, I need a moment before I commit. Like, just put it out there. And people will be open to the right people. People like, no, we need to answer right here and right now. That might not be the opportunity or the environment or the whatever it is that you need to be a part of. If they're not respecting that, you need to take a minute, a moment to just think before you commit to something, right? Really evaluate your capacity. Right, y'all, honor your capacity, okay? Before you can stop being over capacity. Like, that's literally the opposite. If you honor your capacity, you won't be over capacity, okay? That's literally it. Right? But I'm about to get out of here, y'all, because that's it right there, right? Now, before I get out of here, I do want you to know this, right? Because again, I know certain some of us been raised a certain way, and we've adapted and internalized certain beliefs and different things, right? Things change. We can shift that, right? So I want you to know that your limits are not weakness, right? It's not weakness, y'all. It's wisdom. Right? It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Like, it's wisdom knowing that, okay, you literally taking the time to listen to your body, you're hearing it, you're listening, you're moving in a certain way. That's wisdom. Like, this something isn't right here. I need to rest now. Right? I'm coming to a place where I'm like, oh, if I do this thing, it probably gonna put me over capacity. I might be burnt out. I might feel some type of way about look, it's wisdom to listen and hear that and feel like when you feel that you do something about it before you get too over anything. Right? Don't go over. You can come right up to it, right? But don't go over. Right? So we're gonna stop the over part of things, right? We'll get some more, talk more about that as time goes on. But like, man, like, y'all, that's what I have for you today. That's what I have for you today, y'all. Stop being over capacity. If you want to stop being over capacity, learn to honor your capacity. You need something to help you remember that. Again, like Joyful Style, go to joyfulstyles.com, right? That link for you is in the show notes. And because you're listening to the podcast, you get a discount on the apparel, right? So go to joyfulstyles.com and get your honoring my capacity shirt, right? It's premium quality. Look, it feels so soft on your skin. Like, I'm telling you, y'all, you feel like, ooh, yes, purposely done. Premium quality apparel is not a lie. Right? So look, yeah, get that. And also for those of you who ready to, you need some assistance with this, right? You want to be in a community that can help you to evaluate, certain things and decisions, and help you to stop being over capacity. Come join us in the Boundaries and More community. Right? That link for you is in the show notes, or you can go to community.boundariesandmore.com. Come on, like this time to live a better life. It's time to live a better life. I want you to live the greatest life that you can live. Period. Like, okay, all right, y'all. I'm getting out of here. Look. Also, take some time to follow us on Instagram at Boundaries and More Podcast. Again, that's on Instagram at Boundaries and More Podcast. Please, y'all, please be intentional. Be intentional. Go out on purpose and have an amazingly beautiful day. Amazingly beautiful day. Enjoy the rest of your week and be back here next week for more Boundaries and More with Jas Abraham. Talk to y'all then.